Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2013 NFL team preview. We're taking a look at the Denver Broncos. We're going to break down their offense, their defense, as well as their special teams to see what we can expect from the Broncos this upcoming season.
After missing the entire 2011 season, Peyton Manning came back last year with a lot of question marks entering the 2012 campaign, and this guy lived up to every bit of the expectation, throwing for almost 4,700 yards, 37 touchdowns to only 11 interceptions. This was a guy that's not taking dump-off routes, cheap 2-yard passes. He's going deep down the field and completed 68% of his passes, so the Broncos are definitely fine at that position, and he was worth every penny. The big battle will be between the two backup quarterbacks. You have Brock Osweiler hailed as the quarterback of the future, and he's going to compete with incumbent rookie Zach Dysert out of Miami of Ohio. Now, I like Dysert better. I think he's a better passer, pure passer, than Osweiler, who's more of a thrower. So the big battle will be between those two guys in the preseason to see who can be the backup to Peyton Manning, but the Broncos hope that neither of these guys see the field in 2013. I actually think the Broncos have a pretty good stable of running backs with no Sean Moreno, Ronnie Hillman, and even Jacob Hesser. You look at Moreno, he has the vision that you want at the position. He can find the cutback lane all the time. He just doesn't have the speed to burst through it. And we look at Ronnie Hillman, he has the speed and elusiveness. He just needs the touches and to be more consistent. And Jacob Hesser is that fullback, one-back type of guy, the ace-back type of guy you can utilize in short yardage situations. But all eyes will be on rookie Monte Ball, whom I compare to Curtis Martin coming out of college. This is a guy that's a three-down back. He can catch the football out of the backfield. He's a very good pass protector, and that's what you want out the running back position for a guy like Peyton Manning. You want an all-purpose type of a back, an Edgerrin James type of a player. And I think Monte Ball can be that for this offense and help bolster the running game even more so than it was last year. Demaryius Thomas had his breakout season last year with Peyton Manning, putting up record numbers, career numbers for him. But when you look at this receiving core as a whole, it's very tough to defend. Demaryius Thomas is a guy that's 6'3", 230 pounds, fast player, as well as Eric Decker, who's physical as well, 6'2", 215 pounds. And when you add a guy of the caliber of Wes Welker, who caught over 650 balls in his 7-year New England Patriot career, it's just going to make it tougher to defend these guys in 2013 because you can't put smaller cornerbacks on Thomas or Decker because they can high point them, out-muscle them for the football, and you can't put a taller cornerback on Wes Welker because he's going to kill them on those in-and-out cuts. So when you look at how they're going to spread the field with those two tight ends as well, and Jacob Tamme, who's more of a bigger receiver, and Joel Dreesen, who's your classic tight end, it really will be tough to defend the Denver Broncos. And they also have Julius Thomas, their third tight end, a guy who excels in run blocking. So you see a lot of talent. Now they're going to be looking for a fourth receiver, and I think Jarrell Robinson out of Arizona State gives them what they want. I know they drafted Travaris King this year in the 5th round, but this is a guy that reminds me a lot of Demaryius Thomas, big physical player that's nasty after the catch. So this is a very dangerous receiving core top to bottom. Peyton Manning was sacked 21 times last year, but in all actuality, he probably was only touched twice. This is a guy that takes his own sack, so that was pretty good protection up front by that Denver Broncos offensive line. You look at the two bookends, left tackle Ryan Clady, who's a perennial Pro Bowler and an All-Pro, and Orlando Franklin played better football last year and got better each and every game, so they're really solid on the bookends. On the interior, you look at where the battle is going to take place. Zane Beadles had a Pro Bowl year, so he's entrenched as one of the starters, but on the opposite side, they bring in Luis Vasquez from the San Diego Chargers, and he's going to compete with Chris Cooper, who's returning from injury. Either way, they're going to have good depth at that position, and my guess would be Vasquez would win that job. He's younger, more athletic, and entering his prime, but Chris Cooper does provide some solid depth. At the center position, that's where the biggest battle will take place. You have J.D. Walton returning from injury, and he was doing a pretty good job before he got injured. They also re-signed Dan Coppin, and Philip Blake was drafted last year in the 4th round. They really want Blake to step up and win that job, but either way, they're going to be solid at the center position with 3 guys that are capable of getting the job done. On the defensive line, more in particular the defensive end position, gone is Elvis Dumerville, who's one of the more feared pass rushers in the game. He's moved on to Baltimore. But when you look at what they have on the roster, you look at Robert Ayers, a guy that does a better job versus the run than Dumerville. we're going to see if he can duplicate his pass rushing capabilities. But on the opposite side, you do have Derek Wolfe, a guy that played exceptionally well last year as a rookie coming out of Oregon State. He's looking to have a bigger season in 2013. But keep an eye on rookie draft pick Quintera Smith out of Western Kentucky, one of the better pass rushers coming out of college football. He's going to be coming off an ACL injury, and if he checks out medically, this could have been a steal for the Broncos in the draft. And they still have Malik Jackson, a guy that they drafted 2 seasons ago that does a great job versus the run and also provides versatility because he can play defensive tackle if need be. And speaking of the defensive tackle position, you look at priority number 1 for the Denver Broncos. They wanted to address that spot. They wanted to get younger and more athletic, and I think they were able to accomplish that with Terrence Knighton, who came over from the Jacksonville Jaguars, played with Jack Del Rio. And you also look at rookie first-round pick Sylvester Williams out of North Carolina. Here's a guy that the Broncos are hoping can provide that pass rushing capability from within. He does a great job with his initial first step off the line. Evan Vickerson was a starter last year and did a great job. He's more of your combo guy, can play the run as well as get penetration. And Mitch Unrein was a player I was very impressed with. Each and every game, it seemed like he just kept popping up on tape as a guy that was getting pressure, getting penetration. So when you look at this defensive line as a whole for the Broncos, yes, they've addressed the issue with depth. They got a little bit more versatile, and they definitely got younger, so they should be much more improved in 2013. You can't say enough great things about Von Miller and what he can do on the football field. Last year, he had 18.5 sacks and was a constant nuisance to opposing offenses, and Quiet has kept improved his pass cover skills, which was on display last season as well. And he's a player that's going to be on the field for all 3 downs now. You look at what they bring in, Sean Phillips from the San Diego Chargers. They're going to play him at that linebacker spot when they kick Miller down to a defensive end, and they're just going to add more speed and pass rushing capability on that football field. When you look at the middle linebacker spot, I think that's where a competition is going to take place. You have Joe Mays, who was benched last season. He's going to compete with Nate Irvin, whom I like coming out of college. A lot of speed, a lot of pop at that position, so I think he's going to win that starting spot moving forward. So you see the Broncos want to add a lot of speed at the linebacking core. Wesley Woodyard is a guy that I really like. Great story of a guy that waited his time, got his opportunity, and took full advantage of it. He's fully entrenched as a weak side backer, and backing him up is Danny Trevathan, the guy they drafted last season out of Kentucky, who's similar to Wesley Woodyard, but this is a guy they knocked as well. Oh, he can't do this, he can't do that, he's too small. All he did was lead Kentucky in tackles each and every year. So I think they're fine at the linebacking core. They definitely have probably one of the more faster cores in the league. In the secondary, they still have Champ Bailey. I don't care what people say about his age or his skill set. I still wouldn't throw it to his side. 52 career interceptions, and he's a wily vet. You can't out-technique a veteran. That's why he's able to play for so many years. Now, to bring in Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, who I think is still a very good player despite what happened in Philadelphia, the ball skills. He can find the football. He can catch it like a wide receiver. That's just going to make that secondary even better, and that'll allow them to kick Tony Carter down inside as a slot corner who did a great job last year jumping passes, making play after play. And Omar Bolden's second year removed from his ACL injury. He was one of the sleepers in last year's draft. That's going to be a steal. He's going to be a heck of a player for the Broncos. And I know they drafted Kayvon Webster out of South Florida, but keep an eye on undrafted rookie free agent Aaron Hesser out of UCLA, a physical guy, press corner, does a great job in man-to-man coverage. I think he's going to be a steal for the Broncos. Everyone wants to knock Raheem Moore for the one play in the playoff game last season and lose sight of the fact that he had a pretty good second year in the league. So you can't Jackie Smith him and disregard his entire season for what happened on one play in one game. He's still a pretty good football player. They bring in Quentin Jammer from the San Diego Chargers. They're going to transition him to a free safety. So now the reason why that's a good move, because you have a guy in Jammer that played cornerback for a long time, and when you go to that 3 safety look, you can put him on the football field and he can match up with wide receivers. And they also get Quentin Carter back, who's returning from injury, so he has the luxury of being eased into the lineup with the addition of Jam. At the other safety spot, you have 10-year vet Mike Adams back there roaming the secondary. Very good strong safety and a good hitter. But I think Duke Iheanacho will give him a lot of push for playing time, because this is the guy that I really like coming out of San Jose State. Second year removed from those injuries that plagued him in college. I think he has a real legit chance to have an impact. Life is good in the special teams department if you're a Denver Broncos fan. When you look at what you have, Matt Prater is one of the better kickers in the game, has to become a little bit more consistent, get back to what he was a couple of seasons ago. And punter Brenton Colquitt is one of the better punters in the game, definitely a guy that you want kicking footballs out there in the Mile High City. But what a signing Trendon Holiday was for the Denver Broncos. This guy instantly upgraded their return units. The reason why he's so dangerous, not because he's a world-class sprinter, that also helps, but the fact that he's 5'5" and doesn't lose speed when he's changing directions. You saw his skills fully on display in that playoff game versus the Baltimore Ravens. Now let's take a look at what the Broncos have on this roster. Number one, a Hall of Fame quarterback. You saw the difference in offensive output that Peyton Manning made for that team. Two, speed in the back seven. Those linebackers and that secondary, there's a lot of speed back there and a lot of talent. And third, they have an excellent special teams all the way around, kicking and return units. Now what the Broncos lack, they don't have the speed at the defensive end position. Losing to Elvis Dumervil will hurt them. Two, threatening in the running game. They're not threatening as of yet. Maybe Monty Ball could be that guy that could take some of the pressure off the passing game. And third, they don't have the time. This is a team that's built to win now because there's a lot of vets at key positions that may not have a lot of time left in their careers. Reason for optimism for the Denver Broncos, that play right there kept them out of the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots, so they feel as though they've added a lot of talent and they can get back to where they were last season. Cause for concern if that guy gets injured more so than anything, and two, if the pass rush doesn't get to where it was last year with the loss of Elvis Dumervil, that could be a concern because it won't help out the back end. The road to the Super Bowl for the Broncos goes as follows. Number one, the running game has to move into the top 10. They have to average at least 125 to 130 yards a game. Two, the secondary makes more plays on the ball. They couldn't get those interceptions last season. Now you add Rogers Cromartie, Quentin Jammer. Hopefully they can get what they want this year and stay consistent throughout the course of the season, even into the playoffs if they want to reach East Rutherford in February. I have the Broncos finishing first in the AFC West. When you look at this team and their roster top to bottom, you see talent, you see speed, you see explosiveness, you see everything that you want to see from a team that's looking to get back into the playoffs and this time finish the drill. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Bronco fan forums for always showing football game plan support.